I don't know. I don't know if
all right, Ninja.
I don't know if I trust you, man.
All right,
I just
Ninja.
sometimes
we've only known each other our whole lives.
Sometimes no.
Why would you trust me with anything?
No, it's not that. Well, actually, it is that. It's specifically because I've known you my whole life. That's why I don't trust you.
You got a firm basis not to trust me.
Yes.
And you're smart not to.
Yes.
But no, what I was saying is like the reason that most people get into psychology and the big dirty secret about psychology is that you get into psychology because you're fucking crazy, because you're a little fucking nuts. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to go someplace.
What non-anecdotal basis do you have to support this with?
Non-anecdotal? Speak to me like I'm a child, because I am.
Okay, anecdotal is just your personal experiences. So if you met 10 psychologists and they were all crazy, then you're like, okay, psychology is crazy.
Okay,
so
cool.
Give me
sitting in their office.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll seem really, oh, I'm a doctor of psychology, and I just want you to sit here and talk to me about your problems, and we'll come up with a clinical diagnosis and maybe some pragmatic things to apply to your life, and maybe you can, start living in a more positive way. And then they go home and they think about ripping rabbits' heads off and potentially touching themselves to it. That's the fucking crazy shit that they get into. It's like...
Bro,
the mentality. Hold on, I was trying to explain the mentality.
Generalization going on here.
Oh, sure. No problem. But
as
I'm
long
just
as you
speaking in
admit
generalities. That's where I stay, is generalities. So, like, you think like a crazy person goes, listen, I could figure this shit out. No big deal. I'll just go to this place that's going to charge me a lot of money to sit in a class that's going to teach me how the human brain works. And that way I can be my own mechanic, go in there and fix the shit that daddy did so many years ago. But then it doesn't work. And then you've got a fucking 6-year degree. It's like, well, I didn't figure myself out, but at least I got this degree and I can go tell other people how to figure their shit out. And boom, now you've got another crazy psychologist or psychiatrist in the ether. So that's how that shit works.
I'm detecting a wee bit of cynicism about the field in general.
Me?
And
cynical? Let's be cynical. Are you really?
You're coming at me with that. Let's let the memes in. I mean, again, that's your undergrad degree, right?
Correct.
Psychology?
Psychomology. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. So listen.
With a minor in psychosis.
Okay. So I feel like that was an important thing to let them in on. Just say, like, listen, we might be a couple.
I'm not shitting on them because I don't like it. I'm shitting on it because I was one of them. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go learn how the brain works, and I'm gonna tinker around in there, figure it out. I'm crazier now than I ever was before. They just told me that I'm crazy. I was like, are you crazy if you know you're crazy? I don't know.
We'll see. All right.
I think I'm done with that.
Is that tied up?
You want to actually get into it?
The episode now?
You want to give the pause break?
Yeah. I think we should get into it right now.
And a 1, and a 2, and a 1, 2, 3.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Weapons of Meme Destruction, episode 17.
I feel like you forgot the name of it, like, for a second.
I don't think we have a name of it yet. But key point is, this is not our first, because if you listen to episode 10, you heard the shenanigans with David losing the episode formerly known as 10.
We did have our first celebrity guest.
That was a current events episode.
We had our first celebrity guest.
Who was our first celebrity guest?
Dan Rather. Dan Rather came to
we did on studio. Episode 10. That's right.
That's right. So we're coming somewhere.
I heard that.
We're getting places.
So this will be current events episode 2, but most importantly, it's the first current events episode of the rest of your lives.
Right.
Because we are now through the backlog. We are now going back to 1 episode a week that will be released every Monday. And we're going to try to keep them to 30 minutes, but you know what? If you want more episodes and longer episodes in the future, you need to like, subscribe, share, find us on YouTube, every podcatcher that you can think of. Most importantly, come to the website, wmdpodcast.com, and sign up for the email list.
We want to thank everybody that showed up to our first live event, the Apocalypse 2020. Granted, we didn't sum up everything that night, obviously, and that's going to kind of lead us into the topic that we're going to discuss today.
God bless every one of you that came. You know, we're starting this venture out that in 5 years we hope to look back and remember the faces of the people. You remember
when we only had 5 followers? God, those were the days.
Those were the days.
We were struggling. Now all of our 23 followers are so innate and vibrant within the community.
But if you watched election night on your own and didn't come to Apocalypse 2020, you probably saw that there weren't near as many fireworks on election night as we had anticipated. We thought it was going to be plenty of commentary, but as this thing drug out all the way till Friday or Saturday morning after the election, little fireworkless.
Well,
on the night of,
it was a little like a dud of a firecracker, but. I will give credit where credit's due. The correspondents and the hosts of all the various media outlets were doing their fucking best to really zhuzh it up. I remember during one part of the live broadcast, there was a Fox. I can't tell you which broadcaster it was, but he's like, well, if we just give this state to him, and if we just give this state to him, and let's just give him all the states. If Trump wins all the states, then he wins. All right. So it's like, God bless you. You are so in depth and so critical with your analysis. We just want to take our hats off to all. Maybe we'll be there someday.
Guys, news flash. If you win every single state, you win the presidency.
If you get more than the other guy.
I don't know if you guys knew that. That's
I don't know if you ever played anything ever in your life.
It's like Pokemon. If you catch them all, you win. So actually that gets us, but yeah, just to type the live event thing. Thanks to those of you who came, and we want to do some more in the future. So, as that email list grows and as the interest grows and the engagement with our audience grows, we're going to do more of that. So stay tuned. Yeah. But on David's point about election night, we're recording this a few days after the election. We just got news, according to the mainstream media mouthpieces, that
fake news.
Biden is the presumptive winner of the election, and that's a very important thing for us libertarians because
now we know that we were wrong. We just know how we were wrong.
We finally found out whether the cat was dead or alive.
Right.
To tie up that reference, Schrodinger's cat, you put a cat in a box with some time-release cyanide, but you don't know whether it releases or not. You don't know if the cat is alive or dead, so he could both be alive or dead until you open the box and find out. That's the way a libertarian vote works. If Biden wins, according to the Trumpers, us not voting for Trump means that we voted for Biden. If Trump wins, just the reverse. And of course, we never actually voted for the person we voted for.
For whoever wins.
Whatever that third party
is. For whoever wins, we threw away our vote.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, we definitely threw it away.
We might as well have just sat home and jerked off because we didn't do absolutely anything in this election.
Right. So we have opened the proverbial Schrodinger's box, and we have found out that indeed, well, the cat's dead, because no matter which one of those two won, we knew that America was dead. So whoever wins, we lose. But we found out that we voted for Biden. Congratulations, David.
Woo! I love. No, we didn't. Did we?
Yes, according to the Trumpers. According to the Trumpers who
lost, we voted
right,
for
we
Biden.
voted for Biden. Right. We definitely did not throw away. But
it's good to be a winner. It's good to win. It feels good. It's good to get that W. The first W of this new campaign. Let's keep going.
But to the Bideners, we wasted our vote because we could have made their win a little bit larger.
Might as well have not been there.
Right. Total wasted vote. So yeah, cat's dead, everybody.
By the way, I've got a new pedagogical device. I've got sunglasses that when I put them on.
What are the sunglasses teaching the memes?
The sunglasses are they're like the exclamation point on when I win. So when I slide the glasses on.
So when you make an awesome argument, the glasses slide on, which is something that they clearly cannot see.
It's like when you see the glasses are on, I won.
Shit just got real.
Basically, I won. So I won life. I won everything that I've ever done, and will continue to win anything I pursue.
Okay. Which brings me to the next point.
They're like my safe space.
I wanted to talk about this libertarian wasted vote, right? You've heard that. Friends and family have told you that if you don't vote for Trump or Biden, you're wasting your vote.
Yep. Oh, well, I mean, that's
right.
that's been the moniker since we were kids, right?
So isn't it funny how let's see, pre-2016 Democrats would have been saying third party vote, wasted vote. And then when Hillary loses by a narrow margin, they say, you cost us the election. Or fast forward 4 years, 2020, Republican might say, Joe Jorgensen vote, wasted vote. Trump ends up losing by a narrow margin. They say, you cost us the election.
Didn't you want to make America great again, but still was because he had made it great for 4 years? Didn't you?
So the question I have for you, David, is doesn't it seem a little bit like
me in particular?
Our vote seems to matter, at least to the party that loses?
Oh, when your butt hurt, it does. But when it doesn't.
Is that how that works?
But when you win, everything's cherries and lollipops.
I missed the principle of butt.
Can we adopt that?
Can
we teach a poli-sci class?
I'm making up a new term right now.
Mm-hmm.
I miss the principle of but hurtery in the laws of logic.
Okay, so that's a new addition to the lexicon.
No matter what argument you're making, long as you insert a significant and sufficient amount of but hurtery into your argument, then you can just basically make it come to whatever.
Well, this has been a long time coming. I mean, with safe spaces on college campuses and like microaggressions and so on and so forth. Listen here, if you've ever been microly aggressed, if you've ever been microly offended by a microaggression that I've thrown your way, you can go micro fuck yourself because I don't give a fuck. This is the slow slide to goddamn extinction that we've been doing for a long time now. And your butt hurtery? Is that
hurtery is what I'm introducing as a new term as of this.
I think it should be a but hurtery. Like that's how you pronounce it, but hurtery. So,
but I want the hurtery to be really, enunciated.
But hurtery. So your but hurtery matters not to me because all you're being is you're being a bitch. You're being a bad loser. Just accept that you lost.
If
you didn't run right, and you would have got the vote if you had earned the vote. Earn the fucking vote. Stop complaining. That's all I got to say.
Well, I mean, brilliantly said. And to that, the follow up is just no responsibility. No responsibility at all from the losing side.
It's everyone else's fault. Well, again, going back to participation trophies, I think this whole slide to extinction started with participation trophies and people feeling accomplished for doing nothing. Like when you never have to face the fact that you maybe weren't good enough that day, you never try to get better. Because when it was everyone else's fault that you lost, there's nothing to change with you. You're perfect.
In every way.
In every way. And they just didn't realize
it. You really are the fastest kid out there, but damn it, they made that racetrack a straight line, and that other kid just got there faster than you.
Don't you know that he cuts well? He cuts better. If it had been
zigzags.
If it had been zigzags and serpentines, you'd have been fucking in there. Like
you'd have a blue ribbon instead of a, turquoise one or whatever participation place is.
No one cares. It's pink like a pussy.
Oh, whoa. Graphics.
Most.
You trying to get us canceled?
A little bit.
Just cancel David. Nobody cares about him.
Cancel the second co-host.
But no, yeah, I want to track back to that point about not taking responsibility. So here's the thing, and they try to narrow the argument to this. They're like, oh, it's the Libertarians' fault, and we can prove it mathematically because our candidate lost by 50,000 votes. And the Libertarian candidate got 51,000 votes. So therefore, because their margin of, their number is more than the margin between me and the eventual winner, it's the Libertarians' fault. Couple things. I mean, again, this is why the but hurtery, or but hurtery, as David likes to say,
but hurtery,
doesn't save your lack of logic. First of all, both candidates sucked. Okay? Don't expect anybody to vote.
Let's be honest.
Don't expect.
Let's be clear.
Don't expect anybody to vote for your candidate or the other candidate. They both sucked. Period. Full stop. It doesn't matter if the voter is libertarian or not libertarian.
Hey, which one do you want to put?
Candidate sucks.
Which one do you want to put in your mouth? This lollipop that was slightly moist that I dropped in a fucking hair salon and is covered like a sheep's wool of human hair, or would you rather have this lollipop? This
out of control.
Well, I mean. This Jolly Rancher
could have just said shit and diarrhea.
This Jolly Rancher, I'm trying to be more specific. This Jolly Rancher, that was it was like lemon flavored, but you know, it's still a Jolly Rancher. It's still gonna taste good. But I may have dropped it in a urinal for like 2 seconds. There's probably not a lot of bacteria on it, but which one do you feel more comfortable putting in your mouth? Every fucking single election. Fucking single election. Just shove it in your mouth. Don't think about it. Just swallow it.
You bring up a good point about that every single election thing. So as we all know, as it was thrown in our face from Hollywood to DC.
As we can mathematically
this was the most important election of our lifetimes, right?
Jesus Christ.
Right? Is that not what we heard?
I think I saw like one of the 4 horsemen.
David.
Just one.
This is a serious question.
Oh, was it?
Did you not have it constantly thrown in your face that this was the most important election of our lifetime?
Oh, of course. Vote.
Did you not have the same message to a T, syllable for syllable, thrown into your face about 2016?
You know what made this one? You know what? You know how I knew it was true this time? You know how I knew it was true?
Tell me, but I have a point to make.
Because Kanye was involved.
That's what.
Because Kanye was involved. Because last time.
Yes, and Yeezy should have won.
Because last time Kanye had that movement called Vote or Die. Remember?
I don't know if that was his. I think that was.
He was a part of it. He was
part of it.
He was a huge part of it because I think Jay-Z started it, and then he was friends with Jay-Z back then. You remember they had those in Paris? You can't say that word nowadays.
Yeah.
They made that song, and so they were a part of this campaign, and then Kanye came out this time and admitted that he voted for the first time ever. I was like, so he's immortal. He cannot die because he didn't vote last time. So obviously if he's a member of the movement, he would have died.
Okay.
So they killed him, and he rose on the 3rd day.
That's all very good.
To come back and run for president.
That's all very good. However, we were told in 2016, 2012, 2008, 2004, 2000. Since
2004.
Since I've been.
I like that year. Can we go back to the 2004s?
It's a real year.
God, I was so young and vibrant. The world was ahead of me.
Point is, I've been hearing every 4 years. This is the most important election of my lifetime. Now, listen, I'm not a smart man.
I'm waiting for the election that they come out and go, you know what? You guys take this. Wait, I think that was 2016. They're like, you know what? You guys can stay home. We got this.
No.
It's going to be fine.
They pretty much said most important election of our lifetime. Anyway, can I make my point? My point is, if every 4 years it becomes the most important election, then that means that the last one that you told us was the most important was
lied.
You know, it may have been at the time, but it's not. So that means the stakes have gone up every 4 years. Is that what your takeaway is from that, David?
I mean, it's hard to argue against it. Oh, you didn't even let me finish.
Yeah, but I knew
you knew my answer before I
because
it's our ESPN.
Listen, anybody with 2 brain cells to rub together and create a modicum of friction.
Wait, hold on.
Understands that if the stakes keep getting higher every 4 years, that is truly the most important election of your lifetime, we're probably not on a very good trajectory as a country. Would you agree?
I'm still stuck on the rubbing brain cells together. Is that how that works?
I think that's pretty sure. Yeah.
Oh my God. So like when I'm really thinking my scalp starts burning, I was like, oh, I better stop.
Too many brain cells
I'm about to combust. That's how people spontaneously combust. We solved it. Call the scientists. We got it.
You're welcome.
Don't think too hard.
But yeah, so like, again, here's the thing. Even if we take your own hysteria on its own terms, and that every 4 years is the most important election of our lifetimes, God forbid, we aren't going in the right direction, people. It shouldn't be life or death every 4 years. If it is life or death every 4 years, that means the office that whoever's running for
what the fuck have you guys been doing for 4 years?
Power.
What the fuck did you do for 4 years? Jesus Christ. Did you throw us in a meat grinder? Yes. Did you care about our health? No.
Are you listening, Ron? No. This affects all of us. Okay.
Do you care if the world's on fire? Maybe.
All right. So anyway, back to this general theme of, it's libertarians' fault we lost. Here's the other thing is the side that loses automatically feels like they're entitled to the libertarian vote, or any vote for that matter. You know, you're not entitled to, like, just because, like, even if there was no libertarian candidate on the ballot,
Just because
you cannot assume that everybody that voted libertarian would have voted for your candidate. Most of them probably wouldn't have voted at all. And then the few that could plug their nose and actually check the box for your person, it would be a 50-50 split. Some would go one way and some would go the other way. So to assume that, oh, well, if we got all the libertarian votes, we would have won. Like,
just
cut the
because
shit.
I am dressed like a whore does not make me a whore. The fact that I suck dick for money makes me a whore. And for reference, I just put on the glasses. Call back. I won.
Listen, go to YouTube and watch this episode, because Carlos, I'm sure, gets whatever movie reference that is, and he'll.
That was not a movie reference. That was from my brain.
Oh, well, then Carlos will have no movies to plug into that for that reference.
Maybe sometimes David
that's
makes
something
his own
new.
shit.
Maybe David is
creative.
original.
Every now and again.
All right, jumping back into this general idea that, you know, the margin is less than the libertarian vote, therefore we should have got it. Here's another thing that both sides suffer from. And I'm friends with a lot of lawyers, so these are generally smart people, I would think. I mean, that's the assumption. It's not the case, but it's the assumption.
They survived.
And I hear this argument from them all the time.
I'm a survivor.
That a vote for my candidate, my third-party candidate, is somehow a vote for or against one of the other two. No, that's not how voting works. My vote is for the candidate that I agree with, that most jives with the world that I think would be, you know, prosperous for me, my family, you know, other people, yada, yada, yada. That I think is to put it in the left's terms, since they like to make everything moral about politics, I think the moral, justified vote is for the candidate who most strongly stands on the position of being anti-war.
That you agree with.
That was clearly and unequivocally Joe Jorgensen. So, you know, if that's my quote unquote one issue vote, you know, if you're on the left and like women's, you know, issues are your vote, or if you're on the right and like abortion is like your number one, if you're going to vote on one issue and I make mine anti-war and I look at the candidates and say, well, Joe's the only one who's standing up there saying unequivocally she's going to bring the troops home and quit foreign wars of aggression, I'm going to vote for her. I'm not voting for or against Trump or Biden. I'm voting for the one that jives with my issue.
And Dane,
why is that so fucking hard for people to understand?
Well, let's take a big step back and let's talk about what your quote unquote vote really is. Every 4 years, you get to tell your government with your own voice,
allegedly, that you approve or do not approve of the trajectory that they're
with your own voice. That's your right as an American citizen. And if you do not agree with what one policy maker does or what another policymaker does, isn't it your job to stand on your principles, by the way?
Principles. What an amazing word.
Principles.
What a fantastic concept.
And say, with your own fucking brain, I don't agree with either of these things that have been the mechanism that has led us to this point that it's the most important fucking election ever.
Since 4 years ago.
Your children will be burning if the wrong person loses. Well, who created that environment in the first place? And I'm going to use
it couldn't possibly be all those that voted for the lesser of two evils for generations. Could it be?
Maybe. I don't know. Let's get the scientists. Let's get the mathematicians on it.
Mr. Mathematician A and Scientist B. True or false? A vote for the lesser of two evils is still a vote for evil. Go.
Well, see, when you introduce the matrix and then you add the quantum physics to it, and then it becomes even. Yeah, it's still evil.
Thank you. Next topic.
Glasses went on again.
All right, glasses on. All right, so number 4 on this whole, you know, libertarians are more than the margin, so it's their fault kind of thing. Listen, I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but your candidate lost because they could not convince both libertarian voters and non-libertarian voters that they sucked less than the other guy. Because I mean, let's be honest.
I still suck. Let me be clear. I still suck, but just not much as that
as the other guy, right? So you suck less than the other guy, or if you didn't suck less than the other guy, your messaging failed.
I'm not
to
trying to win.
That you suck
I'm just
less.
trying to suck less.
So which ties back into what we said at the very beginning of this general topic. It's like blame is lazy. And when you're sanctimonious about it, when you're like, well, I'm here to try to save democracy, or I don't know, whatever the right, claims is their moral high ground. Blame doesn't look good on you. And when you're sanctimonious about it, it looks even worse. So,
what looks good?
Cut that shit out.
You know what looks good? When someone is steeped in loss, when they're steeped in I wouldn't say disgrace, but I just say when you lose, when you're suffering with the emotions of loss, to come out and be honest and just say, you know what? I wasn't good enough. I'm going to go back and I'm going to retool and we'll come back better. And we're going to come back to win next time. That would be admirable if someone were to ever come out and say that. And guess what? The seed you plant today grows over time. And if you actually apply what you're saying, maybe the next election, you'd win. But when you come out and you say they cheated, that I was perfect this entire time, and the only reason I lost is because there's a conspiracy.
That sounds awfully familiar, right?
Or there was another country that impeded our election, or that thanks Obama. Like there's just come out and say you fucking lost, dude. We're gonna get better. We're gonna come back stronger. Boom. And then go do it.
I don't have as much faith about that.
And then go do it. But that's not what's going to happen. Now it's going to go catty. Now they're going to come up with conspiracy theories that he insulted the postal service, which is the ones that made up all the fake ballots that they came in and counted for Biden. And it's all this conspiracy.
Okay. I only want to push back on that just a little bit. I only want to say this.
Go for it.
Okay. And I have some close friends that are supporters of Bernie Sanders.
Sure.
But I think anybody looking at both the Bernie, primary campaigns of both 2016 and 2020. 2016 was by far more blatant with the DNC leaks and all that kind of stuff. 2020 not as blatant, but still suspect. Can any diehard Bernie supporter sit there and look me in the face and tell me that you don't feel your guy was cheated out of the nomination twice by the DNC? So just answer yes or no to that.
Me?
If you're the hypothetical Bernie supporter,
I'm the hypothetical.
If you're looking
Dude, I've been saying it for years.
If you're looking at what happened to him objectively, both times, 2016 and 2020, would you say that if he was not clearly and obviously cheated out of the nomination, some chicanery went on that prevented him from obtaining it?
Correct.
Yes or no?
I would say yes.
Okay.
But that's been my argument the whole time.
So my tie-in to that with this whole conspiracy theory, election, yada, yada, yada. I'm not taking a super pro-Trump side on this, but what I am saying is if the DNC,
not elected.
If the DNC is capable and willing to sabotage one of its own, allegedly, one that generated a lot of fervor and a lot of enthusiasm about the Democratic Party in general, why is it so far outside the realm of possibility that they wouldn't try to do that to the epitome of evil, Donald Trump?
Well, let me tell you this.
If they could get away with it, it doesn't seem like it's that far of a stretch.
Let me tell you this. And I've run into my own, swath of liberals and so much and so forth. What I will say is every time going back to this topic today, the Schrodinger's vote, they held me accountable for, not voting for Hillary or voting for her just on the fact that they came up with a I'm with her fucking campaign. I was like, do you guys remember that you just kind of robbed Bernie? Like he was the leader and then you just went, fuck no, he's not. Hillary's in. You remember how that? So you don't think that has any predication? You don't think that you not only turned off libertarian votes that may have gone for Bernie, but you turned off Bernie votes, when you job somebody within your own campaign, within your own stratosphere, you lost your own votes in that. And then that goes back to the critical thinking of how you lost. Like, you didn't think about how you lost. And then guess what?
You did it again.
Exactly. And you did the same fucking thing this time. This time was different because the other side was
Because Biden wasn't quite as hateable as Hillary Clinton was.
Well,
he was at least marginally more personable, so it worked out for
as far as we know, Biden doesn't have the quote-unquote kill count that Hillary does. So he was, at least like you said, he was like the grandpa that, like, you don't say to him too much when he's like, I remember when those people weren't allowed in these parts. Like, oh, grandpa's silly. Like, you kind of get that feeling from Biden. You're like, okay, maybe I won't be inundated with hate and media coverage.
Well, but
some guy for 4 years.
Exactly, and that's the other thing is, like, let's be honest. Take yourselves, even if you find yourself in this camp, take yourself out of the shoes of a hardline Trump supporter and a hardline Biden supporter, and just try to put yourselves in the shoes of the true independent voter, the one who is non-party affiliated, who does, in a 4-year to 4-year basis, might vote Republican in one election and Democrat in another election, not for or against somebody, not former Republicans voting for Biden because Trump's so atrocious. But I'm talking about true independent voters who, over the period of their entire voting span, flip-flop back and forth because one candidate speaks more to them more than the other. If you can put yourself in that person's shoes and just look at the election from their perspective, and to be like, well, what are the things that that annoy me the most? What causes me the most stress in my life? Well, every time I turn on, 6 out of the 7 news channels, with the exception of Fox News, all I hear is Trump, 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 Hitler, 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 Trump, 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 constantly, over and over and over and over and over again. And I just don't want that negativity. So if no other reason than to shut all of these people up, from the media to DC to Hollywood to everything in between, if I can just shut them up by getting him out of office, for my own mental sanity, I'll vote for Biden on that reason. So does that seem like too much of a stretch to you for some people?
They just wore people down. Well, also, I will admit, I will admit that Trumpy voter, whatever the fuck you want to call it, you didn't help yourselves out either. Because every time you got into your fucking big lifted kit dually and blew on your fucking 2 gigantic Trump Pence flags, it was blaring "Born in the USA" down fucking whatever street was the main street. Guess what? You weren't helping your fucking candidate. You were actually hurting him, because everybody that might have been sitting in the middle of the road is like, look at that piece of shit. Do I want to be associated with that fucking arrogant kind of, like...
I don't know, but I'm 18, baby, so I'm qualified to vote. If that's the only thing I can do, by God, I'm going to vote against their guy.
If I don't want to look like that toothless motherfucker and that Trump truck, which is what they would say. I'm just paraphrasing.
Right. That's the way they view Trump.
That other guy was the piece of shit.
Not our opinion. That's the way they view
Trump.
it. Yes.
Trump voters are just as good as anybody else. But when they didn't want to be associated with that person, you just pushed them to the opposite field.
Like, clearly, anybody that's already pro-Trump, you're not going to change their mind, and why would you want to?
Or maybe anybody that's civil conversation, a civil conversation to try to pull somebody to your side.
Anybody that's super pro-Biden,
like an asshole,
isn't gonna change their mind because they're voting against your guy just as much as they're voting for Biden. So that person, the only people that you could have any impact on with that kind of behavior, these 18 flag on the truck, mile long car caravans all over the country a day or two before the election, the only person who is going to look at that behavior and have any sort of reaction to it
is this person that was already voted for Trump.
Not the person already voting for Trump. The independent voter who was still trying to make up their mind, still didn't know 2 days before the election.
They're virtue signaling to the Trump people, but they're pushing everybody else away.
But I'm saying, as a pure matter of tactics and strategy, you want to get people to vote for your guy. The only thing you could have achieved by doing that was turning off that. It could be a small portion of the overall electorate, but people that just look at that and say, listen, I didn't know if I was going to vote for Biden or Trump in 2 days from now, but all I know is that's fucking obnoxious. and I want to vote against them just to, give them their comeuppance or something like that. That's the only thing that could have come out of that.
Correct.
That's it. The number of people that actually looked at all the flags and the Trump trains and all that kind of stuff and thought, you know what, I think those guys are really onto something. I'm convinced by those 47 flags. I'm going to go vote for Trump. I'll guarantee you.
That never happened.
That
never happened.
5 people per state.
No one ever looks at the crazy people going, you know what, that looks fun.
Yeah.
And
listen, hold on. But not saying that the people that engage in that behavior on Trump's behalf were crazy.
When you act crazy, it comes off as crazy.
But I'm saying that, listen, when you drive around with the 47 flags, you might be totally, I doubt it.
One would have done.
But you might be totally steeped in Trump's policies and ideology and all that kind of thing. But you can't expect the average person on the sidewalk seeing you to be as informed about Trump and therefore love him as you do. You have to assume that if, from their perspective, you look like a fanatic who's just going to support the guy no matter what he does, they're going to vote against you.
Whenever I see a baby on board, I'm like, fuck you. I'm going to ram you right into the fucking tailpipe because I don't give a shit about your kids. Fuck you. I don't care. Oh, you spawned. You left your dick in the vagina and procreated. Wow, that's never happened before. I don't care. I'm not rear-ending you because my insurance will go up. I'm not rear-ending you because you might have a precious life on board. Jesus Christ.
So now that I think we've resoundingly trounced what it looks like now, again, as we sit here today, it's just been announced for Biden, but we understand there's going to be a lot of legal battles, a lot of fights over which votes count and which don't. So, this episode could date itself and maybe Trump ends up pulling a rabbit out of the hat. But assuming that Biden gets the win, as was projected today, we've resoundingly trounced the losers of the election. Let's go after. Let's end this episode on a high note and go after the winners. What do you say?
If you can't lose gracefully, don't try to win gracefully.
So here's my thing. You may have picked up that me personally, if not both of us, I don't know, David could tell you basically what his primary issue is. I have several, but my big if you were to hold a gun to my head, say, Dane, what's your issue? My issue is being anti-war. And there's a rich tradition on the left. When you go back to Vietnam in the 60s, it was typically the left that was super anti-war, anti-establishment, all that kind of stuff, because Vietnam was atrocious and blah, blah, blah. Now, the quote-unquote anti-war left has long since been dead. It was dead before Clinton invaded Bosnia. It was dead the entire time Obama became the droner-in-chief, and it's clearly dead today as they support Biden, one of the establishment darlings for the entire 47 years that he's been in public life. Biden is going to start every war, launch every, coup he possibly can that the intelligence apparatus and DC foreign policy consensus tells him to do. So I bid you farewell to the anti-war left, because you went in hiding for 8 years under Obama, and you're probably going to go into hidings for the next 4 years. So let's not pretend that this election is some victory for human rights and, at least we got the evil Trump out of office and now everything's going to go back to being America the Beautiful. We can expect Democrats to, quit caring about kids in cages, quit caring about the impacts that trade restrictions have on U.S. consumers and the poor people in foreign countries that produce those consumer products. We can quit caring about COVID now. We can quit caring about NSA spying, quit caring about indefinite detention without due process, quit caring about civil forfeiture, quit caring about qualified immunity, the state secrets doctrine, which allows the state to just hide behind the doctrine and say, nope, can't turn that over in court because it would violate national security. We can care about all the foreign wars of aggression and interventionism, because you know what? As long as the emperor's robe is blue, then none of those things matter. So congratulations, Democrats. You got the office back. You can gloat that your Trump derangement syndrome has been satisfied and that Trump's out of office, but you can't escape what the presidency has become, what it was before Trump and what it's going to be now under Biden. The presidency that you allowed to accumulate so much power that we simply have an emperor under another title of president. Congratulations. Your human rights drum banging for the last 4 years is falling on deaf ears because we see your hypocrisy for exactly what it is.
On a lighter note, we're all still alive. We're all still breathing. Dane, do you want to try to bring the 3 listeners back from the brink of suicide and tell them it's all going to be okay? Because I don't.
You know, despite my clear antipathy, that's the vocabulary.
There it is. The weapons of meme destruction's vocab of the day. Antipathy.
My antipathy for...
To antipathate.
For the government in general. Forget who controls the levers of power. It has too much power. It affects too many lives. It turns all against all, and that's concerning. Despite my fear of that, my hatred, my antipathy, as you were, for that, there is hope. Because the American people are a resilient bunch. I know that this election and, you know, the years that came before it in the Obama years and all that kind of stuff, it has really turned this country into an all against all mentality. And again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I can kind of understand and empathize with that all against all mentality on both the left and right. Because when you have an office that powerful and your mortal enemy obtains control of it, you might have a concern. But the American people are a resilient bunch, and they've got through some pretty serious evils before. I think we can do it again, no matter who the president is. Depend on yourselves.
You know where it all comes down to, I think, one word for me is accountable. Accountability. American people have to start holding everyone that they hear from, including themselves
and the ones they support,
accountable. When we bomb a hospital and Joe Biden, Trump, Obama, whoever gave the okay and the clearance to, you hold them accountable. When you find out that there was a media story that misrepresented something that somebody said and made it seem like they were a monster when really they were explaining a difficult topic that had nuance to it, and they just hedged it towards their favor. Hold the media accountable. When you go on Facebook and all you do is get angry for fucking hours at all the things that it shows you, hold Facebook accountable. Hold the people accountable for what they do. You should be held accountable, including yourself. Start with yourself. Start by getting educated. Start by knowing what you are about, and then move forward. America is great. By all intents and purposes, we are still one of the greatest countries in the world. Are we the best?
No. Let the millions of people that come here and try to come here on a yearly basis be the answer for you in the terms of genuinely take the politics out of it. If you were to look at the United States as compared to all other nations on the world, where does everybody want to go and why?
Right. We have more freedoms.
Let their actions answer that.
And put it this way, like I was explaining to everybody else leading up to this, all my friends and family and all this, like if somebody was drowning, I don't care who you are. If someone swam out to you to rescue you, they wouldn't stop to ask you, oh, by the way, are you a Biden supporter or a Trump supporter? And then leave you there despite your fucking answer. That's what makes this country great. We're going to help each other out. We might have our subtle differences. We might have our quarrels, but we're still good. Hold yourself accountable. Be better than you were yesterday. It starts with the individual and it's represented in the country. Start being better. Stop arguing with your neighbors. Stop writing people off because they see the world differently than you. Just be accountable.
And most of all, in that accountability, question the authority of the people who claim the authority to dictate to you and your neighbor what you can and cannot do with your life.
Make them realize
at the end of the day, you have self-ownership. You and nobody but you has a higher claim to your life and your disposition of it. That includes your economic welfare, your health welfare, and everything in between. No individual has any authority, no matter what their office is and no matter how many people put them in that office, to tell you what to do with your life. Start there. Take care of yourself first. Extend that out to your immediate family, your neighbors, et cetera, and we'll have a more cohesive society and a better country to live in. No matter who wins any election from here on out, and no matter how quote unquote important it is and great it is, and the most important election of our lifetime.
That sums it up for me. I mean, just be human again. Let's be human. Let's try to be better than we were yesterday. And
that's all we can do.
I love the Trump voter. I love the Biden voter. I love the Kanye voter. I don't give a fuck if you voted for Kanye. Like, cool. I would love to have a conversation. I'm sure it'd be a hell of a lot more interesting than why you voted for Biden or Trump. So let's have a conversation.
Guaranteed. If you voted for Trump, definitely jump in this comment section.
Sure.
Sorry. I said Trump.
Kanye,
yes. If you voted for Kanye, jump in this comment section. We would love
it. If you
to
voted
chop
for
it up
Trump,
with you.
if you voted for Biden, if you voted for anybody, if you voted
for us,
if you didn't vote,
admit it. You wrote in Dane and David on that ballot.
Yeah, you
didn't
did. You sons of bitches.
We knew it.
You little sexy pieces.
We
of shit.
humbly accept your faith in us to
listen.
To
I
steer
didn't
this
want to run
country in
here.
a good direction,
but I'll gladly accept this office. Thank you so much. I'm now the president of the United States. Dane, you're my vice president.
Yes.
And
I'm the president
decorator of the
Danetopia.
interior, and we need to do a lot of things.
So again, we went over, but not as much as we have in the past.
Okay.
We thank you all for hanging out with us. We are now, as you heard from the beginning of this episode, we are now up to current events. So every week you're going to get something new and fresh that talks on whatever catastrophe is happening of the day. You're going to get some clarity from us.
Where can they find this shit?
Definitely, number one place you should always go, wmdpodcast.com. And this particular episode is /17. But go to the homepage, sign up for the email list. We engage there frequently. That's how you keep up with us more frequently than the episodes come out. But if not there, all of your podcast catchers, YouTube.
Grab your butterfly nets.
Oh my God. You got to go to YouTube. Our video editor Carlos is killing it over on YouTube. The audio is one thing.
And while you're there,
the visuals, the memes that go into the videos on YouTube are beautiful.
And while you're there, he's also running a charity called Drumming for All, where he helps.
Well, not on our YouTube, but yes, go to Carlos Plaza Drums or drummingforall.com.
Right.
To support his very, very worthwhile cause. Yes, helping people all over the world get drumming lessons, even if they don't have the financial or practical logistical ability to do it. Right. Carlos is helping one student at a time.
If you like the way this sounds, by the way, also check out podsworth.com.
Podsworth.com. Chris over there is a genius with the audio editing,
making us two jack-offs sound remotely listenable.
Remotely. But yes, like and share us on all of your podcast apps. Like and share us on YouTube. Engage in the comment sections and help the community grow. That's the only way.
Kiss your mother.
Yes.
She deserves it. You know what? She bore you in her womb for 9 months.
And after
sometimes
you give
longer.
her the kiss, say, "Mom, I love you." Now listen to this badass metal.
Check this metal.
Peace.